Welcome to Go to Market, a podcast for RevOps sales and marketing leaders to dive deep into industry insights and best practices. Go to Market is sponsored by Fullcast and Silicon Slopes. Today, I am so excited to introduce Brian Samson, the founder and CEO of Plugg Technologies. Plugg is a very interesting business that focuses on doing business in Latin America. Brian, how are you?
I am really good. Really happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on, and thank you so much. And even though you are in the States, you are also an ocean away. So tell me a little bit about what it's like to live in Oahu.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Midwest. For those that are listening that are like, this guy, I did, scrape the windshield on my car for many, many years in Chicago, but lived in California for about a decade, spent a year totally abroad, mostly in Latin America. And the key part about that living abroad experience is my wife and I did it. We didn't have kids yet. We gave up our San Francisco apartment and basically like lived out of a suitcase for a year. So that meant we didn't have anything permanent to come back to. So when like a year was over, where do you want to live? And we thought Oahu would be a really good spot. And 9 years later, it's been a great spot. We've raised our kids out here,
Wow.
and it is insanely expensive. If you want to get anywhere, it's like a 5-hour flight just to kind of get to the starting point.
Yes.
So it's funny, like I have a business partner in Atlanta. And so like if I'm flying out to California to see family or something, it's like, well, I'm already close enough. I might as well like fly
You
to
might as well make your flight from 5 hours to 10 hours to go see him
yeah,
out
it's
there.
like it's all the same at that point, you know. So everything feels close on the mainland. The time zone's wild because you wake up and it's like the whole day has already happened on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's what happened in the news. I guess I'll just eat my poke bowl and
Well, that's
uh,
kind of nice because the crisis is already over and probably been handled.
that's
So
right. That's
that's
right.
the secret, Brian. You've got the secret right there.
But
That's
it is,
actually very true because I'm in California and I think that Californians are generally speaking a little bit more chill than New Yorkers. And
yeah.
maybe that's why, because the New Yorkers are handling all of the crap that comes their way at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, New York and DC, you've got to be like pretty high anxiety,
Uh-huh.
type A to live there, and that's not me. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, good. I'm glad that you're enjoying Oahu. And how many kids do you have?
2 kids. My
Yes.
son just turned 7, and my daughter's
Oh,
5.
oh, congratulations. That's so fun.
Thank
And
you.
my youngest just turned 15, and my oldest is almost 27. And I miss those years a lot.
Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's so fun. So tell me a little bit about how you got started working with Plugg Technologies. What's your background
yeah,
there?
yeah. So this is in the industry we call nearshoring. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard of offshoring, which, India, China, Philippines, those are kind of the big three countries.
Right.
The downside of that is you've got this giant ocean in the middle. If you think of
Mhm.
Hawaii is far away, go to the Philippines.
Yeah.
And the talent there is great. So I'm not, pulling on any of that. But when you've got this giant ocean in the middle, it means like no one's really doing work at the same time you're doing work. Or if they
Right.
are, it's not sustainable. Someone's going to burn out, or you're trying to accommodate. And like, for example, I talked to somebody the other day who's very senior level leader, but his team's in India. And he's the kind of guy, and I think I could relate to this, where I wake up and this is when I've got the biggest brain power, right? Is like early in the morning.
Yeah.
And he talked about it like that, where he wakes up, this is when he's supposed to do his creative work, his deep thinking
Hmm.
work.
Hmm.
But instead, he's stuck doing emails, administrative work, a million meetings. And
Yes.
then the afternoon is free for his creative work. But he's already like
Kind of
lost,
tired.
yeah, a little tired, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But if everyone's on your time zone, which is the case for Latin America and the US, you kind of eliminate all that.
Hmm.
So I've been doing this work for about 11 years. started with me building a business in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So
Mm-hmm.
I lived there, pre-kids. If anybody's listening that have never been there, this is like Paris of the South America. Beautiful architecture, tree-lined streets, cafes on every corner, amazing steak, amazing Malbec wine. You also have a lot of volatility and craziness and
Mm-hmm.
inflation that kind of brings it down to earth and makes it a little more cost effective. But the talent's amazing and they all work the same hours as the US. So that got me going into it. Today I run Plugg. Plugg's about 4 years old, and we are basically a talent connector. So
Mm.
talent from all over Latin America, not just Argentina, but Costa Rica, Colombia, Mexico, Nicaragua, Peru, Brazil, and we do over 100 placements every year. So companies in the States that are trying to get connected to really good people in Latin America, maybe a little better quality than you might find do it yourself on Upwork or Fiverr. That's where we exist. We've got all the infrastructure, recruiters, operations, everything. And that's what we do. We go on searches, we find the right people. So you don't have to worry about any of that compliance or like how people are paid or currency arbitrage or inflation.
That is really nice. And do you focus on certain industries?
Mostly tech. Anything that can be done remotely, we can do. So we have placed virtual assistants and
Mm-hmm.
video editors and things like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, technology is usually the most mature out of anything that's offshored or nearshored. So
Mm-hmm.
software engineers, front end, back end, DevOps, that's kind of our sweet spot.
Okay, very interesting. So I plus one on Argentina. I have two children who have lived in Argentina
No way.
and they loved it.
Yeah.
So my hope is I haven't been myself, and my hope is I get to go back there soon. But just from seeing the world through their eyes and their phones for a couple of
Yeah.
years, it was a lot of fun to
That's so
watch.
cool.
It's very cool. And it's interesting what a global economy we have. Like just on my own little teeny tiny team, I have a web developer in Guatemala. Our customer success team is in Costa Rica. My designer is in Nairobi. My data ops people are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And, and then we have a bunch of plenty of people in the United States as well. And so it's just a very interesting global economy, and the talent. I have been offshoring and nearshoring talent for about 15 years now, and
Amazing.
it's wonderful. The talent is incredible. What do you find most people struggle with the most when they make the decision? Most people, I think, we could say things as they are, probably want to nearshore and offshore because of cost. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think when people are typically offshoring, cost is usually the most important thing because you're
Mhm,
sacrificing time zone and workday coverage and all
mhm,
that. You just want to
mhm,
optimize for cost. And there's no
mhm.
shame in that. Like we all have different priorities.
Right.
When you're looking at nearshoring, you're looking more for like workday collaboration. Because like
Mhm,
if you get stuck on something or they don't quite understand the feedback, you don't have to wait until the next day to check your email. Uh,
mhm.
just jump on WhatsApp, jump on Zoom, jump on Slack,
Yeah.
get instant clarification, you figure stuff out. So I think nearshoring is really about the how do I get the team working when I'm working?
Mhm,
And I know you're in Orange County, but let's say you had somebody in San Francisco. It's
mhm.
far enough where like you're kind of on your laptops, you're talking over Zoom. It's really no different than from having somebody in Mexico City as they could
Yeah,
in San Francisco.
that's right. That's very interesting. So, what changes are you seeing currently with the nearshoring business? Is there a hot take you've got in go to market right now with how we should be doing this today?
Yeah, hot take. I like it. So maybe I'll say two things because your first question was really interesting, like what's going on, and I think who's in office, and I don't want to get in a rabbit hole of politics, but I will say politics matter and geopolitics matter.
Mhm.
So whichever type of administration is in office, there are winners and there are losers.
Yeah.
So China's kind of in the doghouse right now.
Mhm.
India has made some decisions that's kind of put them in the doghouse. Tech companies especially are seeing the H-1B visa change overnight. So for your listeners that aren't familiar, a lot of tech workers come to America and they'll work for 7 or 8 years on what's called an H-1B visa, a technical visa that allows them to stay. It's almost always technical and it's almost always people from India. There's about
Mhm.
65,000 of these visas. And it's pretty low friction to get one. You just have to get through the lottery.
Mhm.
It's a $3,000 fee to sponsor somebody. What the Trump administration did recently is they increased that fee from 3,000 to 100,000.
Holy cannoli. What
Yeah.
the heck?
Now,
Wow.
now, why would they do that? They thought that certain countries like India and China were gaming the system a little bit, and you would have a lot of like not super advanced technologists, but like integrators, people that were doing bug fixing, things like that. So now like
Mhm.
R&D, innovation, but like
Mhm.
the legacy stuff that just kind of has to get done. And that means that a lot fewer visas happening, and it's really
Mhm.
only these like if your audience follows baseball, like Shohei Ohtani, like
Yeah.
incredible baseball player, and he's what like $700 million contract.
Yeah.
Have these massive companies like Google, Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic. They can afford whatever it costs to get the greatest talent in the world, full stop,
Right.
right?
Mm.
But no one's gonna pay 100K for like a mid-level developer to do bug fixing, right?
Mhm.
They'll pay for the Shohei Ohtanis that can do
Yeah.
like advanced R&D, innovation, kind of build the next generation of apps or code or whatever. So geopolitics matters, and also as a result, nearshoring has become even more important. As there are winners and losers, a winner is Latin America. Latin America was already winning because of COVID and time
Mhm.
zones and remote work became a thing. As you talked about your team, you've been doing it. You were a leader,
I
high,
was an early adopter. I was, and
you were
it
an
was
early adopter.
wonderful. Yeah. That is one thing, I haven't done everything right in business. I probably made every single mistake there is to make a business once at least. I try not to make it more than once, but that was one I did right, was being able to see the trend early. So
Yeah,
but that is exciting to hear about how, people are seeing the value of Latin America and how much uh, technical prowess there is. I think
yeah,
it's fascinating to see that. I actually have a friend with the HB1 visa. He's a good friend. And I spent last year doing some pro bono PR work for him to help make sure that he stays visible enough that he could keep his H-1B visa. And
yeah,
we worked for one of those large companies. So I understand the challenge is real and it is, it's very interesting to bring the geopolitics front and center here because it really does matter and it affects so many people's lives. So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Latin America has really become a winner here. Mexico for manufacturing. I know we're talking a lot about white collar jobs, but
mhm.
Mexico is really receiving a lot of factory work, manufacturing.
Interesting.
But there's over 100 million people in Mexico, a lot of engineers. They've got like kind of there's Stanford or MIT is this technical university in Monterrey, Mexico.
Okay, what's it called for all of us that want to call them up after this?
Yeah, so
Actually, we're gonna just call you. That's what we're gonna
please,
do,
please
Brian.
call me. Yeah, but if you're interested, all you have to do is just Google Technical University in Monterey, and it will feed
Wow.
you. There's
That's
one
the
in
one.
Rome, just like there's only one
Okay.
Stanford. There's
That's
one, and it's fantastic. It produces a lot of like really great software engineers that go on to do amazing things. And
interesting.
there's a lot of other great universities, amazing talent. But maybe I'll share like one more kind of hot take that I think
Mhm.
is interesting about Latin America because we go into maybe I'll share two takes if I may.
Yes, please.
Take one is that we all have like our biases about people that don't live where we live, right?
Yes.
And it could even be like, California versus Colorado,
Mhm.
or Texas or, New York and California, right? So we all have kind of our biases that come into it. And just like we look at India, which produces a lot of like really great R&D engineers and innovation engineers, but we kind of look at India as the place where we send our bug fixing legacy code.
Mhm.
And we might look at Latin America the same. Like, Apple is basically manufactured in China, but it says designed in California, right?
Mhm.
When you buy Apple products.
Mhm.
We tend to think like the innovation happens in California and then we ship it somewhere else for it to be made.
Mhm.
We tend to think about that with Latin America too. But what's changed big time over the last few years is there's a lot of venture capital that's being sent to Latin America for brand new tech startups, like
Mm.
brand new banks, neobanks,
Wow.
AI startups, all kinds of hot new companies. And that's a much different type of engineer, right? They've got
Yes.
giant scope, complicated code, high pressure. They've got to get it out and they've got to get it right. And that's way different from, Verizon needs to hire 100 quality engineers, right? Just to like
Yes.
fix a few bugs. This is brand new R&D. So Latin America is producing innovation, people that know how to work under pressure. And the second hot take is we watch Netflix, we see Narcos on TV, we hear about
Right.
Maduro got captured in Venezuela and
Yes.
wild inflation. And we tend to like broad brush this whole continent based on like what a few really stupid leaders do, right?
Mhm.
They make a
Mhm.
lot of mistakes. But the population of Latin America, for the most part, has had to live under complex circumstances, where they've
Mhm.
had to be really scrappy, flexible, adaptive, calm under immense chaos, live
Yeah.
under pressure, and be really good at solving just day-to-day problems all the time. And I'll ask you, Amy, and I'm sure your audience that's listening, who wouldn't want people on their team that have all those attributes? And it's just
I couldn't
innate in
agree
that
more,
environment. Yeah.
especially it's such a volatile technology environment right now. It
Yeah.
is volatile.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. That's so true. Just going abroad and being judged by the leader of America
Yeah.
is something that, I'm aware of now and wasn't before. And
Yeah.
so I totally am so aligned with what you're saying about the benefits of living under those complex circumstances. I love that
Yeah.
hot take. That is really cool. I always knew, like, especially since I've, done this for many years, I always knew how smart and innovative the tech scene was out there in Latin America. What I didn't know was what you just said was I should have thought about how the personality traits that developed living in those complex circumstances would have been developed and how they don't take things for granted and, are willing to work hard. I just never really processed that piece of it before. And that I love that message.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very cool. You're very good representative of American talent. Well done, Brian.
Appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, so what do people do when we want to call you up and say, hey, I need you to find me some talent in Latin America? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, thank you. So first off, we have these conversations all the time. There's no pressure, no obligation. And the way our model works is we're not charging you like for the first call. In fact, we'll go ahead and help advise you on which country based on
Mhm.
budget, constraints, what you're looking for, do you plan to grow, travel there, ship hardware, all sorts of stuff. We'll advise you on, where to start. Then we'll send you candidates for you to review. Then you interview them. Then we onboard them. We take care of the payroll, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Then you don't get an invoice until that person starts working. And then every month it's just rate times hours, right? We just keep it super simple.
Nice.
So if you want to have that initial conversation, like, I think I might want to, hire a virtual assistant, or I think I might want to hire a marketing manager or a couple
Mhm.
software developers. We'll do that advisory conversation first. And you could just go to plugg.tech, plugg.tech, and there's a contact us form, goes right to me. We'll take care of you.
All right. Well, I love it. You can be expecting something from me after this call.
All right.
So my last question, Brian, is, you know, it's clear to see just from your background and how you've traveled all over the world, how you have gotten to the top of your game. How do you stay there? What do you do to make sure that you're always delivering the best talent and that you are staying abreast of all of the changes in the world and that you're keeping yourself grounded and feeling good and able to continue to be a CEO and in CEO shape?
Yeah, maybe I'll share two things. One that I think you might get a kick out of is, you know, I'm I'm present as a dad, but I remember a couple of years ago I was doing a sales call with a Fortune 500 company, but it was like audio, not video. And my daughter, was like 2 or 3 at the time, and she like had just went to the bathroom, and like I had to, like help her, and I'm like going back and forth off mute.
With the Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I have been there and I know exactly where you're at. You're sitting there trying to listen, trying to get your daughter to be quiet, and she's sitting there having problems washing her hands.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like, I just try to be real, like,
Yes.
like it is what it is. And I love it, by the way. But like, I wasn't thinking about that when I was 26 and like
No.
getting my career off the ground. The other thing I'll say is, I think fitness is important. And what I'll try to do is every Wednesday there's this like it's not a long hike. In fact, you can probably finish it in 20 to 30 minutes. It's called Cocoa Head on Oahu.
Okay.
And every Wednesday morning, I do Cocoa Head for my sunrise hike. I try to keep my Wednesday meetings pretty light, if anything. So I'll, do Cocoa Head, which is really hard. It's basically like a straight vertical climb, up these
Wow.
railroad ties. And I'm like drenched in sweat, but my mind is like super clear, and then I just kind of think a lot about my businesses the rest of the day.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this super interesting, relevant, and important information with us. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing what you do with Plug. And thank you for bringing us all together in the tech community on a global scale.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.